This episode of Grade 43 is brought to you by On Trajectory. See where your money is taking you at ontrajectory.com. Do the math.
5 kids.
3 dogs, 2 cats, 1.5 fish.
Do teenagers count?
And a lizard.
13 guitars.
17 years of formal education.
19, but who's counting?
2 middle-aged men.
2 middle-aged men.
On a podcast.
Get off my lawn.
And a whole bunch of misguided ideas. It works out to something like Grade 43.
43rd
Get off my lawn.
grade. I'm old now. I decided I don't want fancy chairs because then I'll just never get up, which is even worse. So I need to have a slightly uncomfortable chair. So I have to get up and move around.
Yeah, I think that's like the skill of middle age, right? Is like figuring out the chair that's like so awesome when you're in it. It's just like, amazing, right?
Right.
But not so much that you just like turn into one of the people from WALL-E, right? And you're just like hanging out. Like
pass me my soda.
You're biding your time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5. Number 5.
Yeah.
We got 3 more to go.
We are more than halfway to failure.
We are more than halfway to failure. Exactly.
And we've got some failure to talk about in this.
We do.
But it's good. But it's good failure, I think.
I mean, it's certainly podcast fodder. But I don't know. It's like you went on vacation and I lost my mind. I don't know what happened. It was weird. You left, and then I just made poor decisions.
Ooh. Yeah.
We'll get to those, though.
Yeah. For only like being like 5 days or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
busy, productive week.
We have our very first interview. I'm super
stoked
excited.
about this. I am stoked about this. We had a really good time with Scott.
We did. Scott is a unique human being who, talking about people that are like fun to talk to, like you were just saying, that fella, Scott is a lot of fun, and he was funny afterwards. He was apologizing for talking too much, and we're like,
oh my God!
But you're the guest. I think you're supposed. Thank goodness you were talking, because otherwise, I'd have to talk, and people would have to listen to me. So
and all I know to do is be Paul Schaefer and just be back here and be like, oh, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so we had a good time talking to Scott for sure.
Yeah, we did, and what was great with Scott is that like he totally gets our thing, and he's like, oh, I have some ideas for something to talk about, and I'm going to bring like guitar tones to share, and you guys can do stuff too. And so we all shared we compared sounds, right?
Yeah, I mean a motivated guest, that's like awesome, and he put us on our heels and gave us something to do, so that was good.
I don't know how much we want to give away before the interview, but
nothing.
None.
We never give away our secrets.
Never give away.
And then we have to kind of follow our grade 43 theme here and throw ourselves on the clemency of the teacher and say, teacher, the dog ate our homework and we did not do our blues jammy riff fills to amaze and wonder.
Yeah, but there's good reason, right?
Yeah.
And we'll hear that in the interview. We did some other stuff, and we're going to come back. The teacher gave us an extension on that homework assignment.
That's right.
And,
but then there was also this added thing because or I want to add to this, right? Because I feel like this is how shit always happened when I was trying to get out of assignments in school. It's like, okay, you can have more time for the assignment, but you have to do it on vacation. And then you have to add these 2 parts. So in addition to doing our little blues rhythm fills thing, I posed to Kalimar today, the added idea of, because this idea and the first lesson especially in this jives so much with Jimi Hendrix, that we have to come up with a Hendrix-like tone as well. And this isn't necessarily totally out of the realm of anything we've done before, but this is a specific part of the assignment. Come up with some sort of little melodic bit or some little rhythm bit that would be Hendrix-like and make use of that tone and leverage the blues rhythm fills kind of methodology.
Obviously, as soon as you said that, I went running, and I'm already like, we need to stop talking about it now. Otherwise I'm ready to spend the next 30 or 40 minutes talking about that. Cause I started to do some research and such. So we'll get into that, on how that turned into a very interesting thing of like, what is a Jimi Hendrix tone or not a Jimi Hendrix tone?
Yeah. So out of procrastination comes chaos and beautiful order that everyone will get a taste of next episode.
Yeah.
But right now, I think probably our next thing, we need to pay some bills, and then we're going to hear from Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So what's going on?
I'm just watching my kids go to college.
Are you all right? Did I like wake you from a dream or something?
And now I'm buying a vacation property to create rental income.
Are you playing Sims or something?
No, sorry. I'm finally using On Trajectory.
Ah, dude, it's about time.
Yeah, no, I know. I have so much to learn, and I'm just getting started.
Honestly, I really think you started in the right place.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like it's just clear. On Trajectory offers you so much, and they guide you the whole way. If you're just getting started like me, or if you want to get deep into your finances and learn about their philosophy. But even for just basic stuff, it's amazing. And dude, it's eye-opening. You know, I can see here I am with 3 car payments, a kid driving. How much would public transit even save or impact me? And you can define contributions from employers for 401k, 403b, HSAs, and On Trajectory just helps you see whatever it is. It helps you see around any corner.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps paint a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I've had spreadsheets, I've saved envelopes full of receipts, I have tab upon tab of data before On Trajectory, but I could not tell you with any degree of certainty how things looked for the actual future.
Oh man, it is an outstanding roadmap.
Yep, and On Trajectory is built by financial nerds for financial nerds, but really it's for anyone who wants to know what their finances can be. You answer a few quick questions and you're off and running and you're ready to model anything. Taxes, equity, income, debt, so many different things that you can account for.
I see what you did there.
You can save all this in scenarios and replay those scenarios over and over with different variables to see exactly what is happening, or more importantly, what could happen. You can see what all your futures look like. You can plan for future salary increases. So, you know, if you give me a raise, I can see what amazing things we could do with the show.
You will get paid like a man when you work like a man.
Seriously, the second you sign up, On Trajectory helps you get started, how to tune the interface, helpful onboarding emails, and in no time you're off and running and you have an eye on the end game. What % chance do you have of being successful? And peace of mind like that is priceless. So find out where your money is taking you now. Go to ontrajectory.com and sign up for free today.
And thanks to On Trajectory for being a sponsor of Grade 43.
So I met Scott through a mutual friend. He told me, Scott has more Christmas podcasts than anyone I know.
It's a true story.
And I thought it meant 1, but he has 3.
Yep.
And Scott has a family, full-time software development job, and a room full of amazing guitars. So, we originally chatted about just podcasting in general, but it quickly became clear that we needed to talk guitars. So, and on the podcast. So, I am very excited to introduce our newest friend, Scott Newman.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, guys. Kalimar, you said I had a room full of amazing guitars. I think the word amazing is doing some heavy lifting there. I've got some guitars. I've got a couple nice ones. I've got a bunch of budget ones, and I'm sure we're going to get into that today.
Well, I think I saw 2 PRSs, so you definitely have at least 2 amazing guitars.
Yeah, I spent my Biden bucks last year on a PRS, an SE24 with a flame maple. I'm not sure if it's a maple top, but it's a flame top, and it's gorgeous, and I love it. And then when the Silver Sky SE came out, I had to have it because I can't justify spending, $2,500 on an American, but I can sure drop, I don't know, $8.99 or something on an Indonesian version.
Yeah.
I hear great things about that guitar.
I love it. I don't want to change a thing on it.
I didn't change anything. Tuners?
Yes, that's the one thing I would do. But so I put locking tuners on the SE, but I didn't put it on the Silver Sky because when the Silver Sky came out, I think everybody decided to start buying locking tuners, and they were hard to find and they got real expensive because they should be, I don't know, what is it, between 50 and $100 a set, and they were going for like 175, and I said, I'll just wait it out.
Yeah, supply chain issues, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't change a thing on the electronics, and I'm actually kind of surprised by that. And I just think they're great. And it's also, I'm not that great. I'm not a gigging musician,
Right,
like you gentlemen are, and I don't need amazing tone. I'd like to have really good tone, but am I going to notice the difference between those PRS single coil pickups that came with it and some, I don't know, $300 more? Probably not.
I don't know who told you we're gigging musicians, but we'll take that as a compliment.
Listen, I've listened to every episode of your
that's right.
podcast.
He's our number one fan.
I am your number one fan. I listened to this week's last night so that I was prepared. And we're going to talk some tone today. And then you pulled the rug out from underneath me and said, you don't want to talk tone anymore. So, sorry,
well, we're
everybody.
talking tone today. Don't worry.
We'll
We're
talk
talking
about
tone
gold.
today.
But first, though, I have to take a little bit of the piss and say, how does one end up with that many Christmas podcasts? Like, I could see, I got a Christmas podcast. I feel like this thing, no pun intended, probably snowballed, right?
It did snowball. The first one started during the pandemic. I needed something to do. Everybody needed something to do. I'm one of the rare people that had that set out and had a goal and achieved it. And I say that with a pile of detritus behind me of goals that just never worked out. This one happened to. So I didn't want to do software development in my spare time anymore. I used to do all this stuff with weather and sports data, and I just wanted to do something creative. There was something strange about being locked in the basement, which I normally enjoy, but in this case, I don't know, I needed some kind of outlet. And I was talking to Kalimar about this when I first met him, and I've been a wedding photographer before, I've been an artist, and you could put out a photograph, and somebody could look at it and say, oh, that's Brian's work. But they don't know who Brian is. You're semi-anonymous beyond your name. When you put your voice out there, or if you're on video, I'm not on video. I don't do that. It's very vulnerable, and I don't know. The idea of it scared me, and it also energized me. So I kind of got into doing voice work. I asked my best friend of 30 years. We met our freshman year of high school. Like, hey, do you want to do a podcast with me on Christmas music? And he said, yeah, sure, why not? And our plan originally was most people are going to listen between November, 15th or 20th, whatever Thanksgiving is,
right,
through Christmas. So what you do is you bank up all your episodes throughout the year, and then you just wait for everybody to kind of binge them at the end of the year. After our first year, we just had fun. There's something about having this standing meeting. This is probably like 45-year-old advice here. There's something about having a standing appointment on your calendar with a close friend where the stakes are very low. It was
we don't
great.
know anything about
That sounds like a good idea. We should look into
Yeah,
that.
that's probably what
Let
you
me
guys.
write that
that's
down.
true.
Let me-
I just realized I'm
take a
preaching
note.
to the choir here. But we've been doing it for almost 2 years, and
That's
it's
awesome.
incredibly fulfilling. And if it wasn't for my buddy Jay, I don't know, I probably would have stopped at some point. But now it's just a great session to shoot the shit with them, and it's fun, and we get a lot of great feedback. I think that's the other thing. There's like a feedback cycle that happens. You get people saying, "Oh, I really like what you did," and then you want to do more of it,
Right,
because of that. And so we had that one. That's Jingle Jank, and we decided to find offbeat and obscure Christmas music. Because what we would do around the holidays is text each other like, "Hey, I just heard this song I've never heard before," and that there's funny weird Christmas music out there. In fact, there's so much funny and weird Christmas music out there. Like you could never run out if you tried.
Have you explored Caribbean Christmas music yet?
We did an episode on reggae, so that was pretty close. In fact, reggae and disco, we have. I don't know, I think it's like 42 episodes, although 40 right now, because thanks a lot, Spotify. You bent to the will of Universal Music Group and took down 2 of my episodes for copyright claims. But, yeah, well, it's their right to do it. But come on. One of them was for the Beach Boys. I hate to break it to the Beach Boys. You're not that relevant anymore. You should probably just let some small-time podcast play 30 seconds of the song Kokomo.
Yeah,
okay?
seriously.
Although we might make the Beach Boys oddly relevant to at least this
Today.
discussion today.
Right.
The searches are going through the roof right now. But Where was it? Oh yeah, the
Caribbean,
disco and the
disco.
Caribbean are two most popular episodes. And believe me, this is a small potatoes podcast. Maybe 300 people listen during the year.
Wow.
Maybe we get 500-600 around Christmas time. So it's nothing big. There's no revenue associated with it whatsoever. I got the opportunity late last year to take over an existing podcast called Tinsel Tunes. That one had been established for about 5 years, and the guy, he's a really cool guy. He's over in New Zealand. He just didn't want to do it anymore. His hobbies had kind of moved on, which is probably something else we'll talk about today. And he said, "Do you want to take it over?" I said, "Yeah." So that one, some episodes get 4,000 downloads.
Wow.
Right now, we're getting about 1,000. So right there, boom, almost 5 times the audience, even in the off months. So what Jay and I like to say, Jay and I do both shows, is Tinsel Tunes is the linen napkin podcast, and Jingle Jank is that checkered tablecloth paper napkin one, like a crab restaurant or something.
That's
so we
good.
do those two.
I like that.
And then the last one, I do a baseball handicapping podcast. That has nothing to do with Christmas. But I'm a statistician programmer. But the last one, there's a podcast network out there called the Bramble Jam Podcast Network. And they have their flagship show is Deck the Hallmark. They've been on Good Morning America and all sorts of stuff. They get a lot of traffic. And I just happened to get friendly with one of the hosts, and he had helped me do Startup Jingle Jank. I sent him some ideas, and he kind of bounced back with some thoughts on it. We became friends over the long term, and he said, "Hey, I really want to do a daily Christmas show from Thanksgiving to Christmas. We'll do it every day. It'll be like 15 to 20 minutes long." And I said, "Yeah, I'm totally in." And we were only going to do it for that small chunk of the year. And then we got so much feedback. That one probably gets between 500 and 1,000 people that listen to every episode. And there's so much incredible feedback. We do really kind of just dumb morning show kind of stuff. We do a Christmas joke. We do a Christmas music battle where we each pick a song from Bandcamp and we play it and the listeners vote on who did a better job. We do Christmas news. We read the Christmas TV listings for that day. So that one's Christmas morning. So those are the 3 that I do. That was a really long answer.
And that's daily, like year round, or just?
Oh my gosh, no. Okay. I can't imagine doing a daily Christmas show like in August. Nobody's going to want to listen. So thank you that was a good question. We do it weekly throughout the year. We're going to go back to daily come, I don't know, November 1st or something. and honestly, I started up a slippery slope of editing the podcast versus like, all right, just record it and throw it out there. Jingle Jank takes me hours to edit because Jay and I just ramble and we talk, and I like things to be tight in podcasts. You guys do a great job. I don't know, you either edit it heavily or you're always on topic. Tinsel Tunes, that's another one, and that one we play so much music that I try to fade in, fade out all of them, and that one can be a little tough. Christmas morning, I really just kind of tweak the levels, and sometimes via Zoom, there's a bit of a delay that happens. You don't really notice it because your brain, like we're talking right now, there's more delay than we think there is. And when you listen back to it, you're like, I stepped on Brian or I stepped on Kalimar. So I'll just go in and I'll kind of nudge things here and there. I can edit a 30-minute show in 30 minutes for that one, but Jingle Jank, a 1-hour show could take me 4 hours to edit. So I don't know how I'm going to do this come November. I may just have to kind of lower my standards a little bit in order to let the daily stuff flow.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the editing definitely takes some time. Just scheduling stuff for 4 podcasts, plus what you add a job, a family, etc. Like,
let's throw in a voiceover course. Let's just add a voiceover course.
Yeah, I'm doing
months.
that. There was another thing that I kind of started doing during the pandemic. I started doing some voiceover stuff for some videos at work and enjoyed it. So now I'm taking classes at the Colorado School of Acting. We do it over Zoom, and it's so much fun. I'm having just a blast. But this is one of those, like, I don't want to call it a midlife crisis. I'm not out there buying a Corvette. Instead, I love learning. I'm always learning something new. And I said, hey, I want to do something that I've never done in my life. And that, is work with my voice, and it's fun. I don't know if I really want to do commercials and stuff like that. Maybe I want to do some narration. So I built a recording booth in my basement, which is kind of like a 3-foot by 3-foot coffin, and it's a little warm in here. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can see that.
I saw one of your very serious work videos. It was for someone's birthday, and it was you saying things like, "What is older than Dave?" or whatever.
Things that are older than Scott Yoder. I would have like the moon and the Moai statues on Easter Island. Yeah.
And yes, Chris made sure, our mutual friend Chris wanted me to make sure that we covered that yesterday. The universe was not on your side. And the highlight of the day was a cat peeing in the room during a Zoom meeting.
Oh, yeah. We got 2 new cats at the end of last year, and they've decided that the entire house is their litter box.
Oh, that is the worst.
Oh, and I love my cats, but come on. They're little orange little effers, too. You know, that they've got those personalities. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Right in front of me, the cat is like 10 feet away and starting to sit in a really weird way. And you're like,
make eye contact with you? Like, yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I see you. So I have about 18,000 miles on my carpet cleaner right now, and I'm updating my LinkedIn that I'm a professional carpet cleaner.
I'll endorse it.
Yeah, thank you. Vinegar and pee gone, but that's a different podcast.
Yes,
that's right.
Let's talk guitars.
Well, I mean, hopefully today makes up for it karmically, right? So
yeah,
let's definitely talk guitars. And I was looking at these pictures, and first, I think Brian had a question. How is there not Galaga in that room of yours?
Oh, yeah, you've got quite the man cave going on. That's awesome. You need a Galaga machine.
Yeah, yes. You guys are tech nerds as well. I bought one of those arcade 1-up 3/4 scale arcade cabinets. I was at Walmart. It was Asteroids or something, or it was like, I don't know, $200 on sale. And I gutted the thing and put in a Raspberry Pi and run MAME on it, and I've got thousands of games on there, and that is so much fun. Although, I'll be honest, it kind of waned after a while. Like, the first couple months, I was playing it all the time. Then you're like, oh, well, I have this at my disposal anytime I want it. Yep. But if you guys were to come over, that's probably where we would congregate. You know, we would grab a couple beers, go down there. So I did that.
What's the number one game on that machine before you move further?
I would say either the Simpsons arcade game or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first arcade game.
Solid. Yep, and that's good because it's 4 players.
I only have 2 controls on there, but much like guitars, this is one of those things where you could go down a rabbit hole of, well, I'm going to upgrade to my Sanwa joysticks and, do this, and this button's a little more quiet than this one, and this one has LEDs in it. There's all sorts of dumb
There's a
stuff
rabbit
you
hole
can
for
do.
everything, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there absolutely
Even
is.
guitar strings. 3 episodes worth of guitar strings.
We have to. If you can find a way to work in strings to any of the guitar content we talk about.
Yeah. Funny story, though. I sold a guitar on Reverb, and the gentleman who purchased it messaged me back and said, I love these strings. What do you have on this guitar?
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Oh, wow. Are those were the string joys?
I think they're the string joys. Yeah.
Not sponsored.
But so anyway, your room, just like, because no one can see us.
Yeah.
In one direction has 2 arcade boxes. One is like the Star Wars cool joystick control
that's the original Star Wars game. That's an arcade 1-up. I got that for Christmas. I didn't touch it because it is the original crummy vector.
Yeah, green. It's green.
It was probably the first game I played in an arcade.
Wow.
And I just had to have it. I wanted it. It has the yoke, which makes it really fun. And then the other thing I have is the arcade 1-up pinball machine, the Attack from Mars. It's not great. It's pretty low quality video on there. But they've promised some upgrades on it. So that's just one thing. But yeah, in the back of the room, there's an electric drum set. I've got a digital piano with weighted keys. I've tried lots of things during the pandemic. I boasted like, oh yeah, I set out to do this and I accomplished it. Well, all the things that I didn't accomplish were becoming the next Bonham.
Soon to be listed on eBay, right?
Yeah. Well, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so
there's a hope.
I have set her up for success in terms of, if she wants to play it, go for it. But
you
I'm
picked
not
much
pushing.
Better instruments. I bought a Glockenspiel for mine. Not a good choice for Dad.
Yeah, but her favorite instrument is this crummy old Casio keyboard that my wife had like 25 years ago, and she just loves that one. So whatever. But I really got into guitars, and Oh my goodness, maybe a little too much. I got a little too enthusiastic about them. My first guitar, I played 20 years ago, much like you guys. Played in college, did all that, but then life happened and I didn't play guitar anymore. And I let it go for a long time. Actually, sent a couple of them to my buddy who's still in Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut. Sent them to him and said, here, I'm not playing. You should do something with them. And during the pandemic, he sent me one of his guitars. It was a EVH Wolfgang, but it was the standard. And he had bought, I don't know, some higher end version of it. I don't know what the difference was. And I said, all right, well, this is nice, but I'm not really playing guitar. And it sat there for a bit, and then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. I'm getting back into it. And that's when the itch started, you know. And then I bought a Squier Telecaster. And I am not a Squier hater. I'm sure there are plenty out there, but I have no business buying $1,000 or a $1,200 Telecaster when I'm not that great. So I put lock and tuners on it, and I upgraded the pickups on it, and yeah, it's a perfectly great guitar. And then one of those guitars, this is a quick story, but it's actually kind of fun, and it'll make sense in a minute. One of those guitars that I sent to my buddy was a Gibson Les Paul Custom of unknown provenance. And it was beat to heck. I mean, the neck, the paint was completely worn off. Somebody had put a phase switch in between the the 2 tone pots and the 2 volume pots in there. And then they had taken it out, so there was a hole in it. It was a guitar that had some credibility to it, but I just wasn't that interested in it. And my buddy bought a Les Paul Standard. He said, hey, do you want this old one back? I said, yeah, you know what? I'll give you whatever you put into it. So I think he put maybe $500 in pickups and tried to get some parts into it. It had a hairline crack in the neck, so I brought it up to this Colfax Guitars here in Denver. And I said, hey, this is a Silverburst. I don't know anything about it. And the guy looked at it and he said, well, I'd love to buy it, but it's got no serial number on the back. It's probably stolen. I said, well, that probably checks out because I bought it from a pawn shop in 1997 for $300. So I said, all right, fine. You don't need to buy it. Can you still fix the hairline crack? And he did that. When I picked it up, his son, who also runs the shop with him, said, I don't see missing material on the back of the headstock. I don't think the serial number was sanded off. He said it might just be filled in. So I brought it home and I think, well, I got nothing to lose here. So I hit it with some paint thinner, and lo and behold, after I wiped away some of the paint, the serial number was revealed on it. So I was able to look it up. It was a 1983 Gibson Les Paul Custom Silverburst in really, really rough shape, and it was a factory second. It was stamped second on the neck. Gibson did that in the early 80s. I think not long after they stopped actually doing something with the seconds. I think they would saw them in half or something.
They just drove tractors over them or something.
Something. So now that I had a serial number, I said, well, maybe I can sell it. So Les Pauls are heavy.
Oh my God!
And
yeah.
I don't know about your back.
And
My back does not love a Les Paul Custom. So I put it on Reverb for $2,200, and it sold in about 45 seconds. And I was like, oh my God, I think I made a mistake here. Luckily, the guy who bought it messaged me, and he said, I bought this because I was really excited, but I'm in the middle of getting a house, and I'm not sure spending this kind of money while they're looking at my finances is a great idea. Would you mind refunding me? I said, no, that's fine. I totally understand. No big deal. And he said, by the way, I was just going to turn around and sell this thing for $3,000. So maybe you should do that. I said, all right. So I put it, I relisted it, put it for $3,000, and it sold in about 45 minutes.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
All of a sudden I got this big influx of cash. So what do you do when you sell a really expensive guitar you don't want? You buy a bunch of budget guitars with that money.
Wow.
So I bought a Squier Jazzmaster. I bought,
Is that the blue one? No, yeah,
the purple. They call it some weird thing, but it really, when you're standing in front of it, it's purple. I bought a
Starcaster.
Nope, it was a Music Man, but it's the cheap version. I can't remember. Ernie Ball it's like the Lexus to the Toyota. It's
Sterling.
Sterling, thank you. I really like the 4/2 headstock on those. I really love, and I fell in love with that headstock long ago when Eddie Van Halen started playing one. I was like, I love the look of this thing.
Yeah, get your drill out and
yeah, I plugged it into the wall and electrocuted myself.
A pound cake. That was the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Pound cake.
So I bought that one. It's an offset, Strat style. It wasn't even it's got a Strat looking body, but it's got two humbuckers. I swapped out with some P90s in there that fit in a humbucker. I loved that guitar. It's still a lot of fun. I had a custom tortoise shell pickguard made for it, so it looked like the expensive Ernie Ball version. I just started buying all this stuff. I bought a couple acoustics that I really like, and I filled out my collection for very little. So even after I paid and I did pay my buddy, I'm an honest guy. I said, look, you put $600 or $500 into this. I sent him that money for it because it was only fair. And
it turns out it was an Antiques Roadshow guitar.
It really was.
Wow. Wow. So the conclusion I'm coming to about you, Scott, is you did not sleep during the pandemic. Basically, for 2 years, you drank Red Bull and bought 15 guitars, 4 podcasts, learned the piano, learned to play drums.
Oh, I learned to play the piano terribly. But, I feel bad saying this. The pandemic was actually really good for me because I'm an introvert already. I like being in my basement. I don't like people all that much. I don't like going out. So the idea that I was locked in my basement kind of suited me like or fit me like a glove. It didn't change my life all that much. And I do feel for the people who had a very hard time and missed that social connection. I don't. I've worked at home for 12 years.
Sure.
So
and you have a 9-year-old. It's like the goal. She's like, I don't want to hang out with Dad. So she's doing her own thing.
it's getting that way.
Yeah.
Brian, is it you that has a 4-year-old, or is it Kalimar?
That's me.
Kalimar's
okay.
got them, yeah.
She likes to hang out with Dad.
Yep. It'll start to dry
at
up.
all times.
She's much more into Minecraft now than hanging out with Dad. But we still got a good thing.
Nice.
Going
That's
there.
important.
But I bought the long story short on that one is I bought a bunch of guitars, and I kind of hack on them, and I have fun. And I think the most important thing is I don't set unrealistic expectations for myself. I do it to have fun. And I play. I do social media for a company called Mach 1 Music, and it's a guy that I took lessons from when I lived in Connecticut 20 some odd years ago. So, I do his social media. He gives me a lesson each week, and sometimes we do composition. Sometimes we talk about guitars. I also bought a couple bass guitars because Brian, I was working in my garage, and I used a drill with a really high torque, and the screw caught and the whole drill went around and it brought my wrist with it. Ended up with tendonitis in my wrist. It's been 6 months. Oof. And it's a day-to-day thing. Some days are great, some days are not so great. And I think you've got a tone sample from me later. You'll hear that my playing is not that great, and I'm really rusty. Bass was a lot easier to play, when my wrist was really screaming all the time. Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of instruments. I suck at it, and I happily suck at it. And I try to get a little bit better every time I practice. Some days are good, and some days, you're rolling the boulder uphill, and some days the boulder rolls right back down,
Nice. So, you have 3 Christmas podcasts. Yep. So it only makes sense that we should talk about surf guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It's the natural segue.
It's the natural segue, right? Yeah. That's where we need to go. We all did some samples. We all got excited about this. We said we weren't going to talk about guitar tones, but it's not quite what we meant. And obviously, we're always going to talk about guitar tones. So we all went running and got, surf sounds going on our guitars and came up with little samples to try to show that off. Scott,
so remember the jackpot I told you about with the Les Paul and all that money? One of the things that I bought was a Surfy Bear reverb unit, and it's about $350. And the only reason I'm mentioning the price is I bought a one-trick pony, and I go through these phases where it's like I'm going to be the greatest surf guitar player in the world, and then I lose interest in it in a couple months. So I bought this very expensive unit. And it's really nice, and it has amazing surf guitar. It's an actual reverb tank.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. Famously, the Spark amp does not have a spring reverb. Yep. They have probably a studio reverb and maybe a plate reverb, no spring. So I have the Spark amp, and that was all right, well, I really want this tone. So I recorded a little bit of tone, and I'll tell you what the setup was here. The setup, it was the PRS Silver Sky SE on probably the bridge pickup. Yeah, the cleanest one, or the brightest one. That went into a mono-price tube amp, and that's like the $279 job. You know, you see people like the Philip McKnight and stuff, and like, hey, this is actually a really good amp for the price. It looks like a pile of garbage, but it sounds pretty darn good. It doesn't have that really cool Fender Blues Junior tweed look. It looks like a budget amp. That one does have its own spring reverb. It's not quite as good as the Surfy Bear, so I put the Surfy Bear through the effects loop on that one. I turned the gain up just so it started to break. What did you guys call it? The edge of something.
Edge of breakup.
The edge of breakup. Yeah, that nothing to do with all my college dating. I was always on the edge of breakup, but I just kind of, brought the probably the gain up, the volume down, tried to drive it a little bit without blowing out my family in the process there. I did wait till they were gone, and I recorded that through a Shure, probably the old SM57. Into Logic in there. Now, the tone is going to be a heck of a lot better than my playing, but that's fine. I'm not the world's greatest guitarist.
I think your playing is totally on par with the hosts of the show. So I think you're in good company.
That's very kind of you.
Yes.
What I wanted to see, the point of all of this was, you guys have these kind of modeling rigs. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see, can you get a pretty good surf tone through one of your modeling rigs without spending all this money on a one-trick pony? Because, Kalimar, I don't remember if you have the HTX or Brian, you have it. I could have taken that $350 I spent on just a reverb tank and bought, gotten a pretty good a portion of the way toward a really nice modeling rig, and then it would have had a lot available to me. So I was curious if you could, how close you can get to that tone. So what I would say is, this is not the most expensive rig in the world that I have, but it's a pretty authentic surf tone. It is a legit spring reverb tank going into a tube, or being played through a tube amp. So you want to play the sound?
You want to play with the backing track or without the backing track?
Well, it's totally up to you. I put the backing track in there because it hides some of my poor playing, but you also miss some of the nuance of the tone.
Yeah. But then you get see, it's interesting you say that, because I was going to start another concept called hear it in the mix. And it's let's debunk the fact that it needs to sound perfect. Let's hear it being played with other stuff, and can you even tell the difference, right?
It's kind of like a gestalt of guitar tone.
Right.
So I played a little, I picked out a little little lead melody kind of thing in there to go along with the backing track that I found on YouTube. I don't know.
Yep. I'm going to hit play. Here we go.
All right. So, what's the guy on the 60 cycle hum called?
Drip.
The drip.
The drip.
Does it have the drip? It drips.
It drips. Yep.
And I think I tenned out those two knobs on the Surfy Bear, the dwell and the
depth or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's two on the right. I just pegged those things, and it's about a 50% mix into the signal. And I don't know, somebody better than me could probably figure out a better way to do it. But those are just the settings I went with because it just kind of sounded cool. And when you do that little double stop, you get that really nice shimmery, it's meant to evoke the idea of, water and, resonating, surf. So,
and
so that's what I came up with.
And it is a weird, we've done this before with other tones on here. Surf is a very unique unitaskery type tone, right? There's not I got there's this metal band that I love, but they have a surf tone. No, that band doesn't exist, right? Surf is surf, right? And it's
the only difference is you might have a little tremolo maybe in some things, or I don't know, but Leslie speaker or some sort of vibrato setting. But I didn't do any of that. This is just heavy spring reverb.
Yep, that's funny.
That Surfy Bear is a spring verb, right? If you smack it, you get the whole
Yeah,
crazy.
it's got like 5 springs in it. If you put it on top of your amp and the amp is too loud, you will get the resonance of the amp affecting the spring. Maybe that's good. I don't know. If you want to be really pure about it, you wouldn't run it through an effects loop, because back in the 60s, they didn't have effects loop. They just ran it into the front of the amp. Well, okay, I didn't do that.
Can you pick the number of springs on it?
No, you can. Well, you could probably take some out, but I don't know if there's any kind of consequence to doing that. And by the way, I tried it through my Jazzmaster with the P90s, and I hated it. It sounded like mud. And maybe I could have.
I would have guessed that would be the axe of choice for it, right?
Yeah, I think so too. But the PRS on the bridge pickup sounded so much cleaner, and I also was trying to pick out a melody there. Yeah. Maybe if I was doing the backing track, it would have sounded fine on the Jazzmaster, or maybe it's just my lousy playing. I don't know. It's one of those. Lots of factors here.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Spark not having a good tank reverb or springy reverb in it. So I went off and had to traipse through the world of the bias stuff on their end to get to the tone for mine, and similarly found like, okay, here's a twin reverb unit, and just like, let's put it on 11 and let's see how we
not
can,
a lot of thinking required to
dial
in the tone.
Nice.
What do we need?
Yeah, so
reverb?
That's the positive.
More
positive
reverb.
Grid.
Yeah.
Positive Grid makes the Spark, but for some reason in the Spark they don't have spring verb.
It's totally separate from what happens on your computer. Yeah.
Very cool. So you ran it through the riff, right? It was just straight your PRS 24.
Yep.
Into the riff.
Yeah, and with the neck pickup split for single.
Oh, that's a smart idea. Yeah.
Yep.
Neck pickup. Gotcha. Any guitar matching that you used from?
No, I didn't have that on. No, just straight in.
Cool. All right, let's hear it.
It was a bit like the intro to The Kids in the Hall.
I wouldn't say it's the same tone, but it's a bit more echoey. It's got like a wider feel to it. I did love the growl that you had in there. It was much more pronounced than what I had in there. I love you did the kind of a spy riff in there, because remember, surf guitar, spy guitar, and spaghetti western guitar are all kind of the same genre. Just, it's the same thing applied in different ways. And it was, when you played those couple notes of that kind of James Bondy riff in there, that sounded legit to me. And it was really, really cool. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Cool. Did it drip?
I feel like it dripped.
Yeah. I can't take the credit for the musical content, because that was actually off of a True Fire lesson that Kalimar picked for us to do.
Is it a surf guitar lesson?
Yeah.
Yes,
I should be doing that. I think to find out if it drips, Kalimar, I think you have to palm mute it or mute the strings and kind of give that rake across it and like kind of thing. Yep. That's the only way I know if it, quote, drips.
Yep. All right. So I did the exact same little etude, surf etude by Jason Laughlin. That guy is like unbelievable. I used the HX Stomp. That's the modeler I have. So it's the HX Stomp, and it's the 60 cycle hum surf guitar patch that he made when they released the new Hot Springs reverb, which he claims actually drips. He was very excited about it. I took his word for it. I changed nothing on it. Played it through my Godin Radium on the bridge pickup in single coil mode.
Cool.
And it's the same song. So here we go.
Ooh, that's good. All right, I like that a lot. And what was really cool in there, Kalimar, was I don't know if you were intentionally doing some finger noise. You know, you get that the string friction noise in there. I could tell there were a couple slides, and each of those had that really cool little drip going on with them, and I loved it.
Yeah, he nailed the pick slide.
Yeah,
I worked on that pick slide a lot.
Was it okay? It was a pick slide,
picks.
not finger noise. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I destroyed about 10 picks.
That was crazy. When you mentioned that you went through a couple picks, I'm like, come on, what? It's hardened plastic against strings. I looked at him like it looked like a arrowhead that somebody had excavated from like an archaeological site.
And then you would try to pick on it, and it would like catch on
Yep.
the strings. It was like really a mess.
This is how we bring it all back around to strings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I added tremolo for the last little
Oh, okay.
tremolo, so it had that womp 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 feel to it.
Well, I thought both of them were great and just a testament to using modeling, because I could have had a lot more at my disposal for just a bit more money. You know, even if the modeling goes $600-700, I would have been halfway there with that spring reverb tank that I bought, and I don't get any of the nice things like being able to put it into headphones or it gets an automatic USB audio input to my computer or anything. So very, very nice.
I'm a big fan, but you have to either spend time tweaking or you trust the sources of the patches you get on the internet. But there's a big enough ecosystem for Line 6 that you can find a lot of free patches and then kind of tweak them. Otherwise,
to 11.
hours. It's like
I
hours.
would say the one pitfall of that, though, is I could get into a mindset where I'm so worried about dialing in all the settings that I'm not actually practicing.
100%.
You know,
100%.
It is pretty easy to get distracted and sit there and go, wait a minute, I've been playing with just 3 different options for one band of EQ for the last 10 minutes, and what was I here for again?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So on the idea of distraction, I actually brought something I wanted to show you guys here. This is like a little guitar life hack that's been working well for me.
Ooh.
Is you guys mentioned on your most recent episode, as of this recording, to always use a metronome or a drum machine, and I totally agree. I also use backing tracks. You know, similar thing. Play with rhythm, you know, because I have no rhythm, much like my dancing, I have no rhythm whatsoever. So I've been playing with backing tracks, but I ran into the same issue that I'd bring it up on my computer and I would take the Spark and I'd run the audio out to my computer, or I'd use Bluetooth. And then, so now the Spark amp is playing both the backing track and my guitar. Then I would get a notification on the computer. And now, much like a squirrel, I'm over here like, oh, and I'm not practicing. So what I did was I went on eBay and I bought a couple old iPods. And this one that I'm holding up, people can't see it because this is an audio medium here. This is an Ipod Nano.
Oh, yes.
This thing I think I got it for maybe $22, maybe $25 shipped. And I put a whole bunch of MP3 backing tracks on this. And, you know, the battery life is awesome. I can get, 15, 20 hours of battery. So I'm not that worried, because usually once you plug in a couple things into the wall, your Spark and a few other things, you've run out of outlets. Now you're looking for extension cords. And again, you're not practicing.
Yep.
So, and I don't know if maybe people of the right age for this show will remember that on an iPod, you have all these, what they call ID3 tags. It's all the metadata about a track. You have artist and composer and all that kind of stuff. So I took the genres and I made them like surf guitar in E minor, you know, or like this one's in E major. So I can go through and I can scroll and I can look for an E major backing track. I put a whole bunch of keys on there. I don't have it set up with BPM. I don't really worry that much about it. But you can get a little creative with like the composer. You can make the composer like the genre, like, oh, this is surf, this is blues, this is rock or whatever. And now I can just pick up the iPod, dial in a backing track, hit play,
And then just
and I'm off to
plug
the
it,
races.
and then you plug it right into the Spark.
I plug it right into the Spark.
Nice.
The headphone
Nice.
out, you know, I got like a 6-inch cable on there. It just sits there. I'm not distracted on my phone. I'm not running out of battery or any of that stuff. and I love it.
That's
And
good.
that has been really, really. In fact, it started this other little quest of mine. Now I'm overcommitting and buying all these iPods on eBay, and well, I mean, if you think about it, the idea of having more than one iPod when we were in prime iPod buying
yeah, it
age
seems
was an
decadent.
unimaginable luxury.
No, that's like an
And
Apple
now
Watch.
there's like 10 in my office right now, and I've been putting different colors on there and having all sorts of fun. So there's my other midlife crisis.
Honey, where's my heavy metal iPod or iPod?
Yeah,
I
right.
need that one.
Right.
Well, I have a classical one. I've got a blues guitar one. I've got a jazz one. And now when I hit shuffle, I don't have to worry like, am I just shuffling the
Right.
jazz? No,
Yeah.
I am just. It's a single-use iPod, and you can get these things for like $20-$25. Put a battery in them, and it's just my little hobby lately, and it's been kind of fun. I don't
That's a
know.
good
I'll have
little
to
hack.
And-
I'll have to. I don't know. Maybe I should figure out how to sell them or something. The
We should
problem
talk
is
about this more. I mean, I think we're going to have you on again just to talk practice hacks, because
I'd
you
love
already
that.
covered how we were going to kind of wrap the interview.
Good.
Which was sort of like how. What do you do to make time to practice? Because it's not like
Don't. That's the
Right.
big problem.
Right.
You know, it is.
Well, that's fair.
It's like
But you're
life,
trying.
life keeps getting in the way, and you guys said something really great yesterday, and I can only kind of paraphrase the idea. And if I challenge myself too much, and I feel like, oh, I suck, I can't get this, I don't want to pick up the guitar the next
That's
day.
demotivating.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
once you miss a day, it starts this snowball effect where, like, then the next day you're like, I didn't practice yesterday. Well, I'm going to practice today. So I have to set multiple goals. Like maybe it's a realistic one. Maybe I'm just going to play the chords of a backing track. I can do that, you know, and remember that, you know, this is supposed to be fun. And if you're constantly behind the eight ball and feeling lousy about it, it's not fun anymore. I'm not trying to be in a band. I'm just trying to, I don't know, have this fulfilling thing in my life where I enjoy making
You're waiting for
music.
somebody to come let you out of your basement, and you're just trying to pass the time.
Your
until-
door is locked. Nobody's,
in the booth.
nobody's letting me out here. So
I don't think you could have ended on a better note than that. You heard it from the snowman himself.
That's
Mind
right.
you, that's actually his email address, snowman at you, but not the way you would think, right?
yeah, it's not exactly that. I don't know who's going to get that. So don't send any emails. To
Yeah,
that
don't
person.
send emails to
It's-
snowman. It's not
going. It's not going to work. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's really fun to find people of your tribe. You know, we're all of the same age.
Yeah.
We've all got kids. We've all got hobbies, and we've all got trouble finding the time to make for those hobbies. And, you know, sometimes you spend all this time with your guitar and you're not spending your time with your kid. And you're like, well, eventually that kid's not going to want to play anymore, and I'll have plenty of guitar time then. So, you know, it's a really hard
It's a
balance.
constant struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks, Scott.
I would love to come back sometime if you'll have me. I promise not to talk your ear off.
As long as we don't have to do. As long as we don't have to do surf tone again.
Yeah.
No more surf tone. But this is the problem with finding somebody locked in their basement. They don't want to stop talking. You're like, all right, I'm gotta go here.
If you're okay,
Well, it sounds like there's-
if you're okay, blink once.
Yeah. Sounds like there'll be heavy metal and there'll be whichever. What other iPod did you say you had?
A blues iPod. I'll come back and we'll talk blues. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you,
All
gentlemen.
right.
I really appreciate it.
Yep. Great talking to you, Scott.
You too.
So that was a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah,
Scott
yeah.
was super entertained. I'm pretty sure we're going to have him on the show again because,
Oh yeah,
you
he
know,
should be a recurring character. We're growing our cast, right? We're like the Howard
Yeah.
Stern show or something.
yeah, totally. And I love it that he's like, yeah, let's do surf guitar. Because obviously the guy that has 3 Christmas podcasts wants to talk about surf guitar.
Yeah,
And
he brought it. I like that. He
yeah,
brought it.
yeah. You know, and it's funny that like I thought he accumulated all those guitars and all that gear just over his lifetime. No, this was all pandemic stuff. Like he has
Yeah,
like
hats off
10
pandemic. I mean,
guitars
a
and all
terrible
this.
thing, but a good use of your human talent and
Oh man, he went to
curiosity, right?
town. He went to town. It was so awesome. And what was the name of it? The bear, Surfy Bear. What was the name of that
Oh,
spring
the
reverb unit?
Surfy Bear Spring Reverb.
Surfy Bear Spring Reverb. Yeah, we'll have some links to that. So that was cool, and it was great that he knew 60 cycle hum, and I used a preset on the HX Stomp made by the guy from 60 cycle hum who also loves surf guitar and all that drippy reverb and everything. So yeah,
No,
that was
definitely a
great.
good guy. He could drink for free in our bar anytime.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
totally.
speaking of
Drinking.
Is that a good segue into what happened to you?
Sure. So I feel like, Scott talked about his $600 guitar turning into like a $3,000 guitar or something like that. And mine is turning into the opposite. Like I'm now paying to like get rid of my guitars, which is just dumb, right? So like I got it in my head after I got my Godin. I'm like, all right, now it's time to downsize. I don't need all these guitars.
You're going to be monogamous with that guitar.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love it. It's great. I really, really dig it. And I have so much more to still just really dig into it. I just really like it. I don't know how to describe that. I see other people when they talk about the guitars that they love, and this is sort of that situation. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to sell guitars. So I put an expensive one up on Reverb. I bought it specifically because I was like, I think this guitar will hold its value and maybe go up in value, right?
It's an investment, honey.
Yeah, it was. Like I had some money from another guitar sale I had made, my Eddie Van Halen modeled guitar, and I bought this 2016, at the time it was brand new, 2016 offset Telecaster by Fender, American made. And I'm like, yeah, I think this will appreciate. And when I went to sell it, yes, right, like the guy that bought it, same intention as me. He's like, I think these will hold value. I think he bought another one. I'm like, this is great. And then I get a message for him that the guitar arrived and it had damage. And I hadn't listed the damage. And I'm like, well, that's because there was no damage.
Because it's mint condition pool.
Right. I'm like, here are the pictures of the guitar. There's no damage. And he sent me these pictures that had like these black marks on the front of this Olympic white guitar. And I'm like, did you draw those with your computer? Like, is that like markup? Oh,
rasters?
No. These are marks on the guitar. And I'm like, well, that's a problem. Like, okay. But it turns out like he wanted a full refund, which I would want the same thing. But now I'm like getting the guitar. Fortunately, like I sold it through Reverb, and I bought like peace of mind, whatever insurance they have.
So are you out anything in this?
Well, I'm going to be out. I feel like the value of the guitar that is going to depreciate a little bit, but Reverb is going to cover any repair that needs to be done to the guitar.
Would that be like the opportunity cost? Like, did we just accidentally become an economics podcast by mistake?
Oh boy.
Like, oh my God, like you missed the window to sell the guitar at its maximum value, right?
Yes, in a way, right? Well, actually, it's interesting you say that because I feel like that gave me an appreciation for when people talk about really, really old, nice vintage instruments and how when they're pristine, it's like, yeah, that guitar has dodged the bullet that my guitar did not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a value to that. Like that person was able to preserve that guitar in a way.
Yeah, but do you feel there's like the same way you would feel about like an antique house, that if it still looks good, it's not because it's like all 100% the same. There's like an element of upkeep, right? So like dings happen in your house and maybe, you patch a wall and then you paint it a different color.
Yeah.
It's not an exact analogy.
Right. No. That's a good point. I think it depends on the awesomeness of that guitar, right? Like this guitar,
because also there's
it's a Tele, right? Yeah. So that's is that where you're going? No, I thought you were, but like a lot of people hated on this guitar when it came out, so it's not for everybody. But like, I don't know. I thought it was a cool guitar. So there's that drama, and then I had one of my other cheap, let's call them beater guitars, for me to learn about like modding and doing whatever. And I'm like, okay, I modded this Tele. That was cool. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace. And for whatever reason, all these other people were like, you want to trade? You want to trade? I'll give you 150. I'll do you whatever. And I'm like, oh man, but like I put 100 into it myself in addition to buying it, like,
right.
I don't want to. And then this guy's like, well, I got this, Line 6 Spider 3 amp, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, but you know what? You're going to have to give me $50. And then I saw the picture of the amp, and it was missing a volume knob. So this is funny. I think this is where I got like actually excited about doing the trade, because I thought I was like really being persuasive, because the guy was like, all right, yeah, $50 in the amp. I'm like, oh, no. I just saw that the volume knob is broken. So it's $100 and the amp. And he's like, $100 because of the knob?
God.
I was like, look, dude, I'm too old to have an amp with I don't want a broken knob. So it's $100. He's like, fine. And he went on his other amp and he yanked the knob off of it and he put it on this amp.
Hey, he solved the problem, right?
And at that point, I'm like, all right, $50 in the amp. That sounds great. And he gets to my house and it's what? Yeah. No.
Do you remember this happening? Like, is that, I feel like you're like, this is like, you wake up in the morning and you pull the sheets back over your face and you roll over and there's a line 6 spider in bed next to you and you're like, oh my God, I don't remember anything. And that's no knock on it, but I just feel like, all of Kalimar's purchases, he's pretty much telegraphed to me and
Yeah. No, the guy walks up to my house and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? There's like this giant amp and it's just like a whatever amp. Like it's really pretty old, but not in a great way. Like It's all digital amp. So you got to like turn 5 knobs and hold 2 buttons down to make it do whatever, like it's not a Spark.
Yeah.
Like a Spark is super user friendly and it's got like
there's an app, right?
App,
yeah, there's nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
This is like turn the little knobs, the colors change, and then the thing blinks 3 times, and that means now it's in flanger
and
mode.
then it's in
something.
pairing mode after that.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, so does it work now? Like, what's happening here? I don't know what's going on. Worst decision of my life. Yeah, I'm gonna call it like the Guitar Center walk of shame. Right? Like go to
I would like to hear that from everyone because I feel like there's like some horrible, even if it's not like a trade, there's some horrible instrument decision that you've made at some point in your life. So if you're listening and you have email info@grade43 and tell us your horrible trade story because I just like, that's kind of that's good.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what happened. Hopefully by the next episode, if not the next episode, the following episode, I'm going to have my 2 new guitar pedals that I bought from Brazil. Right? So, like, my hometown of Brasilia has a company that makes boutique pedals. And for whatever life reasons, I have money in Brazil, and the exchange rate has gone in the toilet, and so we never bring the money to the US. So this was like the perfect opportunity to be like, okay, well, I'll buy a couple of guitar pedals with money from Brazil, and then I'll just send them here. They're not here yet. One is like a preamp, which is supposed to be like the color box.
Right.
Kind of like the color box. And the other one's a fuzz pedal with a whole bunch. And they're really cool looking. I showed them to a couple people, and they like really love the aesthetic.
You sent those to me, because one of them looked like it was just meant to be inserted into like the board, right?
Oh, yeah, it looks like a board, right? Because it's got a slider on it, right? Like, yeah, it's totally like imitating a board. Yep. Yeah, but they have like very industrial sort of like look and feel to them. So I'm excited about that. So for that, I want to put them on my pedal board, and I have an HX Stomp, which has been all by itself on my pedal board. And so the HX Stomp and the whole Helix line, I'm always bragging about it. They're like revolutionary. The HX Stomp is amazing. The power supply in its ugliness and like just impracticalness just makes up for it completely.
Is it like a big hump in it somewhere where you have to connect the cable?
It is 6 inches long, more than 6 inches long, and then the prongs are on the end of one side of that. Like, you put it on the wall and the whole thing kind of sags. Like, if you have an old house, like I do, it basically just falls out of the wall all the time. Like, it just doesn't stay in. Like, it's just the weirdest power supply. And everyone complains about it. Like, what do you do with this power supply? Because it's the worst. Like, if you went to a gig, you can't put it on anyone's strip. Like, it's just a mess. So I bought so Chalks makes an amazing power supply. Super thin, they make several models. Chalks makes this very, very small one that fits on my pedal board. It's very, very thin. It's got 4 outputs. You can change the voltage on them. And
so all you have to do is just plug a whip in now, basically.
A what?
Like a whip. Like, I mean, you've got like a multi-source for power now, and you just have like, you have just one little thing, you just goes beep instead of the whole brick that used to have to like transform it.
Yes. Yeah.
Very nice.
So There's one small brick that goes under the pedal board that has 4 outputs on it. And each one can be like 4 volts, 12 volts, 16 volts, 18 volts. And certain things need more voltage. And you can even do like 2 of them, 2 of the power sources to your device. Okay. Which it turns out was what the stomp. So I buy this thing, it gets here. I bought the one that's actually a partnership. This is a hack I learned. Eventide partnered with Chalks, and they sell the Chalks for less than if you buy it from Chalks. Sorry, Chalks, but like that's what you all did. I'm not sure why, but
it's still the product is the same.
Yeah, the product's the same, except it's white instead of black. And so I think the product is identical. So what Chalk sells also is a ton of different plugs for each of the different types of devices that you need. Center positive, center negative, whatever, all diameters and things that you need. And he sells them all. They sell them all. But so I got the thing, and then I didn't have the right adapters. So I had to buy 2 more adapters. I had to get the splitter one and then another one and a whatever. And thank goodness for my friend David Wicks, who had done this before me. So he's like, oh, this is what you need to buy. So anyway, it's like Home Depot, man. Whenever you're doing these projects, it's never one trip. It's like 3 trips to Sweetwater, and now now it's good. I got it.
And that's the worst when it's powering something else, because I remember when I got the what was the fancy one with the magic sliders?
Oh man, you got the Chase Bliss automaton.
When I got the Chase Bliss, and I like Amazon ordered a power supply and it didn't work, and I was like, oh man, and then I had to like go drive up to Guitar Center and get another one. But like just the amount of time in between the thing arriving and being able to use it, right? That's always.
Oh man. Well, it's part of adulting too for us, right? I think I mentioned when the microphone, my new PreSonus arrived that you sent me, it was like, oh, I don't even have time to open it for like 3 days because I have to go do adult things. So I'm just
this
like,
thing's pretty basic, right? Plug it in, okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to leave it in my office and not look at it and want to play with it for days because I'm an adult now.
That's right. I look at something and I go, okay, maybe I'll do that next Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yep. Well, there you have it.
Yeah. So good show. Awesome talking with Scott. And for next time, we will do our blues homework. We swear, teacher, we'll turn in our extra credit assignments. So I made a couple Instagrams. I think
I saw those.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm learning. They got out there, and if you saw them, then that worked. So I'm on Instagram. You don't want to follow me. You want to follow Grade43 on Instagram. You want to email us at info@grade43.com. And if you want to check out the blog posts or just check out the backlog of episodes, just go to www.grade43.com. And on Twitter, we're 43rd grade, I think. Or no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because Grade 43 was taken because somehow that's
that's a thing.
A thing?
We didn't get it in all the namespaces.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Get off my lawn.
That's right. All right. Until next time.
Until next time. Did I do something dumb there with that? Could I have just...
Welcome to Grade 43, where every show we invite you to find what is the one thing that we decided to change about the audio setup this week.